Hey, vinyl community and vinyl friends. This is Brian from Brian's Vinyl Records. It's Memorial Weekend, and this is going to be a different video than most of the videos I do, but I felt it's something that I should do as an honor and a tribute to my brother. In 1997, we lost my brother to a car accident. He was 17 years old. I was 19 years old at the time. And I just felt like I should share with you some of the albums that remind me of my brother and are important to me because of my brother. So before that, I just wanted to show you, this is my brother. This, I believe, was taken right before his confirmation. So this is probably the last picture that was ever taken with the two of us together at the time. So without further ado, once we get back from the break, I will show you 4 albums that I've pulled from my collection. 5 albums that I've pulled from my collection that are important to me because of my brother. Welcome back. Okay, so the first album that I want to show you is important because as kids growing up, we had music in the house all the time. My dad was a guitar player when he was younger, taught me how to play guitar. I was a guitar player at the time, and we just listened to a lot of things. Mostly it was the Beatles, Eric Clapton, things like that. But this album sticks out in my head because it's one that the whole family really enjoyed a lot. And so I'm happy to have it in my collection, and for no other reason, it just reminds me a lot of, the childhood days, sitting playing pool in the living room and cranking this album up. And I'm talking about Tom Petty. Full Moon Fever is the album, and it brings me back a lot when I listen to this album, and I just love listening to this album. So the first album on the list, Tom Petty, Full Moon Fever. And this is important to me because it reminds me of my family as a whole. And so that's why I love this album. All right, the next one is my brother, and the only reason that I ever listened to it, not because it became really big, because it really did. It's a massive album from the late 80s, early 90s. But he loved this album and had the cassette tape. I remember that Christmas, he got this cassette and I got MC Hammer's cassette at the same time. So this is, I've shown this before, but this is Vanilla Ice to the Extreme. He played this all the time when we were young, and so I grew to know a lot of it through that, and now become a fan because of that. So love this album. It's a really fun album. Vanilla Ice to the Extreme. The next one is I showed in a contest video earlier of I think it was called I Like It. Things that you might be ashamed of owning, but I have no shame in my albums at all. But this reminds me a lot of my brother because it was myself, my cousin Jim, and we would all gather around the TV and put the video tapes in and pretend that we were these guys singing along. This is New Kids on the Block, self-titled release, New Kids on the Block. And as kids, it's funny, my cousin Jimmy would always, of course, be Donnie. I would be Jordan. And my brother would always be Joey McIntyre. And for obvious reasons, it almost went along with our ages and things like that. But we sat, and I don't know how many countless hours we spent pretending that we were these guys. We'd watch that video over and over again. It was a concert video from the Hangin' Tough tour. We also got the Step by Step one as well and did the same thing with that. But just going through all the songs and pretending we were the guys, singing into our chapstick microphones and everything else. It was just a fun time. And so the New Kids on the Block always reminds me of both my cousin and my brother, who both unfortunately are no longer with us today. But so these guys hold a special place in my heart just for that reason alone. And I really dig the music anyway. So New Kids on the Block. This next album is important to me not only because our family shared a love of the Beatles, but this is the only album that my brother ever bought with his own money. And I'm just so excited that I have this in my collection. I've held on to it for years. It's gone through several moves. It's gone through storage. And it's still, in pretty good shape for what it's been through. It's one of the most awful sounding albums I own. This is the Beatles. It's like a collection of live tracks from their club days in Hamburg, Germany. It says 1960 to 1962, but I believe all the tracks on here were recorded in 1962 at one particular show. The sound quality is awful, like I said. It sounds like crap, but this was Mark's record, and so because of that, I have to have this. I spun this recently for the first time in probably a good 25, 30 years, and yeah, it's not that good, but it's important, and it holds a lot of meaning to me. So it's the Beatles, 1960 to 1962. Yeah. This last album is one of the most important things I bought for myself. Just months, if not weeks before my brother passed away, he bought this album, and we listened to it together in our room. We shared a room, and we listened to it together, and we both fell in love with the same song. And it's just ironic, that song, and the meaning behind the song. If you actually listen to the song and the lyrics, it's ironic that this would be the final thing that we listen to as brothers as far as music goes. And so I remember when the accident happened, it was really important to me that I find this album in his collection, and I searched and searched and searched, and I couldn't find it. It wasn't around. I didn't know what happened. I even went to the place that had the car, which that was an awful, awful experience. Looking through the car, it was just utterly destroyed, and it was not a sight that anyone should have to see when someone that close to you has been involved in something like that. But I really wanted this album, and so I thought, well, maybe it was in the car when he died. And so I went to the place, and I went with my cousin Jim, and we searched through the car. The people let us look, and I couldn't find it anywhere, and I was just disheartened. And fast forward to a couple of years later, and I found out that one of his best friends had gone to the car after the accident to claim his items, and was in possession of this album. So I got in contact with them, and I said, you can keep everything else that's in there that you want, but if you have this CD, I really, really would appreciate it if I could get it from you. And he brought it to me. And this is the CD. You can tell the damage that it took from the accident is still there, and everything else. But this is the Offspring, Ixnay on the Hombre. And the song that we both listened to, pardon me, was number 7 here. Let's see if I can get that to zoom in. It doesn't look like it will. It's a track called Gone Away. And if you ever were to listen to that, just listen to the lyrics of that song, and it's just really, it hits home, especially in the situation. So I searched and searched for that cover album and couldn't find it anywhere, but they did release this version of the album. It's a gold anniversary version of the album, a special edition, and so I bought this right away. I paid a good amount of money for it, but it was worth it to have in my collection on vinyl. It means so much to me to have. So you can see this cool gold vinyl on here. This is one of the most important records I have in my collection for sentimental reasons, for sure. And so as we mark another year gone, I will be playing this album in memory of my brother. And I will say this too, if anyone knows where you could find the vinyl with the actual cover art that it originally came from, if you could let me know, that would be great, because I would love to have this cover art, just because it is the cover art that means more to me than the new one. And I don't mind not having it, but I would love to have it as well. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this video, and it's very therapeutic for me to create this video, so I thank you for watching it. As you celebrate this Memorial Weekend and this Memorial Day, keep your loved ones in mind, especially those who you've lost, and kind of honor them on these days. Spin some music for them. There's got to be some sort of music it brings us all together. So there's got to be something that you can listen to that will remind you of those people. Take the time to do that this weekend, and just let your memories, let the love flow, and be happy. And it's okay to be sad as well, but be happy that you had the time with them that you did. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you enjoy the channel, and until next time, on a happier note, keep spinning, vinyl friends.